So there's one other Aaron Minsky song that I wanted to introduce you to. And this one's from a different book. It's from 10 American Cello Etudes. Okay? It's the very first one in the book, The Train Whistle. And I remember playing this when I was a kid, and I loved it. So, I think it's fun for adults too. So I'm going to play just a little bit of the beginning, see if you can hear the train whistle. Okay, here I go. Alright, so you get the idea, right? We got the... Alright, that's our train whistle. So that in itself is kind of tricky because you've got this double stop glissando. Now, when I was a kid and I played this, I think I didn't really care at all whether I played it in tune. Now I kind of do care. So what I'd recommend is finding the chord you're landing on first, right? And really trying to get that tuned up. So we got a first finger on the A string in fourth position, fourth finger on the D string. Then I'm just sliding it up about a half step, right? And it really doesn't matter where your slide starts. What matters is where it finishes, where you land. Okay, so... Just getting comfortable with that is a great place to start. Then, a couple measures later, after I do all these, right, I've got... Okay, this... It really is quite beautiful when it's in tune, and I'm sure when I was a kid I did not play it in tune. But anyway, so it's 1 and 4, and then 1 and 3, 1 and 3, 1 and 3, just sliding back half steps, all right? So some slow practice on that. Then when you actually put this whole first line together, there are a few challenges. One, this bow stroke. To avoid exhausting yourself, I'd suggest using kind of small muscles to get back and forth from the C and the G string, right? Rather than going crazy with your whole arm. All right, so figuring out a way to keep that small... Okay, you just need to practice that on its own. Then we've got the rhythm aspect, all right? And I find that my rhythm is best when I think of this piece in 2. Okay, it's written in 4/4, but I'm going to think of it more in 2/2. Okay, so rumpa yumpa dun 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 triplet dun 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 dun. All right, it's that triplet that makes things a little tricky at times. And if you're thinking in 2, you squeeze it into 1 beat, right? Da 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 da. Okay, so going back and forth from the 2s to the 3 is what's tricky. So in slower motion, it's going to look like this. And same thing happens again. Okay, now a different chord we need. We're landing first position, okay, same 1 and 4 structure, but our fingers are going to be a little more widely spread because it's a lower note, okay, so sliding into it, okay, that's the one you're aiming for. Then, our triplet coming up is definitely trickier. We start in closed position, then we're extended, 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 okay, so closed, extended, extended, extended. That will definitely take some slow intonation practice. One good strategy might be doing bottom note, top note together, bottom note, top note together. Or the opposite, top note, bottom note. Or you could slide from just going back and forth. Okay, to get those shifts in there. the right size. All right, so that line is the same. That whole first section is the same kind of thing. Then we do this again. And here's where it changes, okay? So we've got easy and awesome. Are we going to bar our first finger across 2 strings, the C and G. Third position. Okay, really, that section's not hard at all, and it sounds awfully good. And I did realize I did a fingering. I went to the D string that's not written. I don't think it really matters much. Let's do it one more time. I'll show you. Make sure big old accent on the third of each group. So, ga, ga. Is that what it is? Yeah. And crescendo. This part's also not good. Just making sure to get this triplet. I gotta check where I am. Oh yeah, okay. Now, this next section I really like as well. A little harder. We start with this same position. Okay, let me just play that for you again. So we got... Here's a little syncopated rhythm. Listen one more time. Then same rhythm. Descending passage, just be careful about where your extensions are needed and when they're not needed. So we've got E flat, E natural, E flat, E natural. Okay, let me play that whole 2 lines there for you. So starting on this first bar. Off into the distance. Okay. So this is the other really kind of tricky thing in this piece. Going back just a little bit, when we did this section again, just had an extra note. Right? And here. Okay. Not a big deal though. But then when we get to... Okay, so I'm going to go back to half position. Got my E natural and my B flat. Okay, so... And I just do tremolo. And I think it can be kind of scratchy tremolo, actually. It doesn't have to be Doesn't have to be very clean sounding at all. So. Okay, then I'm just going to shift that hand position up to 4th position. All right, so that one wasn't tricky. Just from there to there. Now this one I think is kind of uncomfortable. Got a 5th, so I'm going to squish my 4th finger across the string, which since my pinky is so weak, I might kind of lean on it with the 3rd finger to give it a little extra support. If you're more comfortable doing with another finger, you could try that. I don't know. I don't think there's any reason not to. Okay, then I've got my 1st finger on a B flat and my 2nd finger on an E. And definitely this transition from there to there will take some practice, okay? One thing I'm really thinking about is, as I'm getting ready to shift, I'm rebalancing my hand, so I'm balancing back to 1st and 2nd so those fingers can just slide into place. Alright, so I had, sorry, and then from there, I just reach my 3rd finger way up. Okay, that's about as far as it's going to want to reach. And I'm still doing my tremolo when I let it fade out. And that's the end. All right. So that end section one more time. We had wild, maybe starting to chill out a little. Okay. Anyway, I think it's a fun piece. It's worth checking out. That's The Train Whistle by Minsky.